Okay, we're on part 2 of section R.5 on factoring polynomials. We've talked about the difference of squares, the sum and difference of cubes, and another pattern that is helpful to know. This one's helpful to know. It's not one that you can't possibly get by without, like you with the sum and difference of cubes and the difference of squares, but it sure can make things easier if you know this pattern. Okay, the perfect square trinomials. So we see two patterns shown here, and the only difference being the sign, the first sign in the trinomial. And so again, they tell us how this comes about through multiplication. If you take x plus a, square it, in other words, you write x plus a times x plus a, that's what that would mean squared, this is the pattern you will get. And here it is again, but now it's minus. So when we factor a perfect square trinomial, it's called a perfect square trinomial because it factors to a perfect square. I'm going to write it the long way and then the short way. So this would factor to, we're having a and b here, so a plus b times a plus b, or the reason it's called a perfect square trinomial is because it's a plus b squared, a perfect square. And likewise, if there's a minus here, notice these are always plus, then we'll have a minus b times a minus b, or more simply, the perfect square, a minus b squared. Okay, so the way we recognize one of these, and this is why if you know the pattern and if you know how to recognize it, you can just go straight from looking at something like that and writing that and you're done. Not all this other work. Okay, the first and last terms, for it to be a perfect square trinomial, we have to inspect it. If the first and last terms, they must be, of course, perfect squares. See here, the first term is a perfect square, the last term is a perfect square. The middle term must be equal to 2ab. Notice it's 2ab. In other words, 2 times the product meaning multiplication, of the expressions being squared in the first and last term. So notice the first term is a, the last term is b. That's what's being squared. So 2 times the a times the b. If your middle term is that, then you have a perfect square trinomial and you can use your pattern. Okay,